We are Todd, Will, Joe and Beth, and we are answering, in what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products?
We created a film titled Red Wolf, where a young lad stalks a girl close to him called Fiona. The boy himself is called Simon, and he is a somewhat disturbed individual, and
Becomes obsessed with her.
he becomes obsessed with her. And we filmed it mostly within the college grounds, close to us, the Oral Water Park, because we found it to be a very scenic location, and we thought it would really benefit our film to use it.
Plus the college is sort of a typical
It's a very
setting.
It's a
It's not really. It's not like a really crazy location where you just wouldn't expect two normal people to meet. Because the library is a pretty typical location where anybody can meet anybody. So.
It fits in with the characters, what they'd be doing for their age group. It's very.
It kind of just sets the film up as seeing the characters as being fairly normal when we know that Simon obviously isn't from the first shot.
Yeah, the first scene is shot in the woods though, which is kind of typical for thrillers.
Yeah.
Because of the isolated location.
Kind of a chase scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of foggy day as well when it was filmed. Kind of, it made a somewhat mysterious atmosphere.
Yeah. What about the costumes?
The costumes are pretty basic, really. Like Fiona's just wearing normal clothes, like what you'd expect a teenage girl to wear in college. She wears quite a lot of red, which is it shows that she's in danger at times, but also the sort of romance element to the film as well.
It's also kind of femininity, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. Simon always tends to wear black because he's isolated and a stalker, and obviously he's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, just to openly make him look like, this guy's not right.
Yeah. In terms of camera work, we went for mostly panning shots because we didn't want the beginning of the very first scene in the woods. There was a lot of close-up action and hand cam as Fiona's running through the woods because it made it feel tense and fast.
And more realistic.
Yeah, as opposed to the panning shots which we used in the scenes following the chase scene because we wanted the film to start off slower than obviously the rest. Obviously it is going to build up from being slow to work fast, so that's why we use quite a lot of slow shots and sort of medium close-ups and two shots to get the two characters, to show them interacting and show the relationship sort of building between them.
Yeah, we also used a lot of close-ups, facial reactions and conversations and stuff.
Yeah.
Over-the-shoulder shots.
Especially when Fiona finds the pictures of herself on Simon's phone.
Yeah.
It sort of shows her shock and discomfort, like you say.
Realisation.
Yeah.
And there is a scene where Fiona is seen with her friends, which is like what you'd expect from a normal teenager, whereas Simon is always shown to be on his own and isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Todd. About the typicality of it.
Well, the first scene is pretty untypical of something like this because instead of going from the start, at the start, it starts at the end, and when it ends, that's when the start bit starts. If that makes any sense.
It sort of shows you what's going to happen at the
Yeah.
end without giving too much away.
Yeah, and the reason that we did the first scene the way it was is because Simon was always behind the camera. So on these following scenes, when you saw Simon, you weren't exactly sure if he was the one chasing, which added the mystery element, because you never actually saw him in the first chase scene. It was always from his point of view, and obviously you can't see yourself in your point of view.
Yeah.
And the rest of the shots are pretty typical of a film like this, like character development and a bit of mystery, and also the background voiceover. Sorry, gave it a bit of element of creepiness because not normal teenager talks like that, so you knew there was something wrong there.
It's like he's going over it in his mind.
Yeah, he's like overthinking things and
So like thinking from the start, like step by step of what.
yeah.
The voiceover is also the only way that the audience see what Simon is thinking, because he doesn't really express himself through actions and words.
Because as you say, he's alone.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
He doesn't talk to many people, so.
yeah, I mean, I played him out to be disturbed, quite, just a very different individual. He doesn't work like other people do, and he is determined. He's determined to get Fiona, but at the same time, he is a very flawed, not sociable person whatsoever.
Yeah. Moving on, title, fonts and style. What do we think about the title? Because obviously you and Todd.
Red Wolf,
Wolf.
the title itself was actually created by a friend of ours who said it should be based off the old like children's fairy tale or something like Little Red Riding Hood, because like just by coincidence the main heroine of the film has red hair, and I'm sort of seen as like this black, macabre, very like dangerous individual. Wolfie. So it makes connections, so to speak, between the fairy tale characters and film characters.
Yeah. And it's not just ripping off.
And it's not
the title, is it?
It's not what you'd expect from a title of a horror film.
Yeah.
Actually, specifically how it appears on the film title as it is edited, with a slash between wolf and like red, sort of indicates that they're almost like names for the characters, like different names, like Fiona is red and Simon is wolf.
But the slash sort of shows
But
the
it's
separation.
like divided.
Yeah.
They are divided characters.
Yeah.
And when both words put together, it seems like a very threatening title. Like Red Wolf seems very
Yeah.
threatening.
And the title as well, we've actually got so it fades to red
Yeah.
as well, so that works.
Yeah. The story and how the opening sets it up. Well, we sort of went over that really, didn't we? Because as you were saying, the opening shows the end of the film
Yeah.
and what the audience make assumptions based on what you see. You don't see anything that would spoil the film.
No.
You just assume. You just make assumptions, and then the rest of the film. So
Yeah.
builds on top of that, really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it encourages people to keep watching as well, because then we know when the Fiona lives or dies.
Yeah.
And there's a tension towards the film, quite I think the audience develops like an anxiety about what will happen for the characters.
Yeah. That also gives away the genre, which is, clearly a thriller, because the opening shot, it's fast paced and fast editing, and it thrills the audience. It gets them excited and scared for the character.
As well as the use of sound to increase that uncomfortable.
Yeah, like the music, sort of
The music, yeah.
tension and stuff. Yeah.
Somewhat of as mini subgenre within the film itself, with like a slight element of horror as well, to like how frightening like Simon can be in particular parts.
Mm. How the characters are introduced? Well, Fiona's introduced as being
Pretty much
scared.
just an average teenager, really. Just
Well,
an
right.
We kind
average
of did that
teenager.
though, because we introduced her to show that she's immediately the victim,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I suppose is typical.
She's immediately in danger, and it's obvious that she is the innocent in all of this, because she's sort of running from someone else, kind of thing. And
I think that there was a very important shot in that first library scene where the camera pans up on Simon's character and he turns around to look at it, and then there's a shot, a point of view shot on Fiona. It's like he's marked her, so to speak.
Mhm.
Like, you know, she's mine. I'm going to get her, and if I don't,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely.
like a
And also
predator.
his
Yeah.
costume there again shows him to be an immediate threat.
Yeah.
Mm.
We didn't. Did we have any? No, we didn't have any special effects. We had.
It was kept pretty realistic. I mean, special effects would offer it to be a bit
It'd make it a bit
unrealistic.
cheesy.
yeah,
Cheesy, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that-
Especially
yeah.
if they weren't handled well.
Especially with it being a college film as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
It
definitely.
just wouldn't be realistic.
Yeah. How did your opening sequence develop or challenge the conventions of an opening sequence? Well, it goes with the conventions somewhat because it builds the film up chronologically. So it starts, you know, how they met, how the relationship developed, how they got closer and closer, until Simon found out that Fiona didn't have feelings for him like he did for her. But as we've already said, the very open shot, the running scene, also challenges the conventions because it's not typical.
Yeah.
It starts with the end.
And it's basically playing it back like a
Yeah.
tape or a memory.
Yeah.
From like Simon's point of view.
Mm. Does your use of conventions indicate that other opening sequences have influenced your film?
Well,
Well,
I
typical for thrillers is chase scenes and stalker elements and
Yeah.
things. So it's kind of typical.
I mean, that's
But-
pretty much industry standards, you know, to have a chase scene with every thriller.
Mm.
I have to say that opening scene may have been slightly inspired as a sort of like on some certain tribal sort of films, like people running through the woods, being chased by a sort of tribe or something. It just
Yeah.
we kind of based it off of that.
Yeah, it's quite a typical thing to have, but it's not typically where you expect to see it. It's at the beginning
Yeah.
rather than.
Kind of like the rate horror film that you find from like the 50s, you know, that they'd employ chase scenes as well
Yeah.
to, I mean, and that was a new thing back then, you know, to add a new element of thrill and suspense.
Yeah.
It kind of starts with the suspense as well, rather than building up to it. It just starts with the suspense
Yeah.
Yeah, you're launched into the
and then
deep
builds
end.
up to it like later on in the film.
Yeah.
Mhm.